I am a huge fan of Warhammer, and one of my favorite things within Warhammer is each faction's perceptions of the universe, or their philosophy. Now, there are many factions and sub-factions, so we definitely won't cover all of them today, but I picked some fun ones. It is also important to note that individuals within each faction can have their own philosophies, so we are just going to generalize a faction's philosophy instead of an individual's. I mean, my favorite legion is the Night Lords, and Sevatar surely has a different perspective than Gendor Scrivok, and Gendor has a wildly different philosophy from Talos Valkyran, and those are just some characters within the same legion. Imperial Citizens. The philosophy of Imperial citizens is shaped by the grim, authoritarian, and oppressive nature of the Imperium of Man. Often sacrificed for the greater good of the Emperor's realm, their philosophy is heavily influenced by the totalitarian state of the Imperium and the relentless war for survival in a universe filled with threats. They have unwavering faith in the Emperor. The central tenet of an Imperial citizen's philosophy is absolute faith in the Emperor of mankind. To be a citizen of the Imperium is to acknowledge the Emperor as humanity's divine protector and the central figure of their existence. The Emperor is not just a ruler, but a living god, and his will is interpreted and enforced by the ecclesiarchy, the religious institution that guides much of imperial life. This belief often borders on fanaticism, with citizens adhering to the doctrine that humanity's survival depends on the Emperor's will. Imperial citizens are taught from birth to submit to the authority of the Imperium, whether that be the Adeptus Terra, the Ecclesiarchy, the Imperial Guard, or other branches of the Imperium's vast bureaucracy. Obedience is considered a virtue, and dissent is seen as heretical or treasonous. The Imperial cult, which demands reverence for the Emperor and loyalty to the state, is often enforced through fear and indoctrination. The idea of sacrifice is ingrained in the lives of Imperial citizens. In a universe where the Imperium faces constant existential threats, they are taught that individual lives, whether their own or others, are expendable in the name of survival and the continuation of humanity. This often manifests as citizens accepting harsh conditions, working in dangerous environments, or serving the Imperial Guard as cannon fodder. Selflessness is expected in the face of greater horrors, from alien invasions to the ever-present specter of chaos. Life for most Imperial citizens is harsh, brutal, and short. Poverty, oppression, and danger are constant companions, and many accept these as immutable facts of existence. From the hive cities of Necromunda to the far-flung worlds of the Imperium, most citizens endure extreme hardships without complaint, believing that this suffering is a test of faith and strength that will ultimately be rewarded in the Emperor's light, either in this life or the next. The Imperium is a deeply paranoid society, and its citizens live under constant threat of heresy, mutation, and xenos, meaning aliens. Heresy is considered one of the greatest crimes, and citizens are taught to be vigilant against all signs of it in themselves and others. The Inquisition plays a crucial role in maintaining this fear, ensuring that any devotion from the Imperial Creed is brutally suppressed. Citizens are expected to report suspicious behavior, and loyalty to the Emperor is demonstrated through constant vigilance against heretical and mutant influence. Personal freedom is a foreign concept for most Imperial citizens. In the vast majority of cases, they are born into their station, and their lives are defined by their service to the Imperium, whether that be as a worker in the factories of a Forge World, soldiers in the Imperial Guard, or simply by enduring the harsh conditions of their hive world. There's little room for self-determination, and the emphasis is placed on loyalty to the Emperor, the state, and the greater cause of humanity's survival. Despite the suffering, there is always hope for a better existence, whether through redemption in service to the Emperor or an afterlife in the Emperor's eternal light. The Imperial cult offers a vision of salvation for those who live lives of piety and loyalty. Death, in many ways, is not seen as an end, but as a transition to a glorious existence in the Emperor's divine presence, provided the individual has lived a life of devotion and service. The philosophy of the average Imperial citizen is dominated by the belief that survival of humanity is paramount. The Imperium is locked in a constant battle against the forces of chaos, xenos invaders, and internal corruption. Citizens are taught that their personal struggles are small in comparison to the greater war for survival, and that the Imperium must endure, even if it means immense sacrifices. The Imperium citizens often view xenos aliens, with fear and hatred, as they are the enemies of humanity. The common folk are taught that all non-human species are threats to humanity's survival and must be destroyed or driven back at all costs. In the defense of the Imperium, many people say it is very authoritarian and oppressive, and sure it is, but at the same time, in our society, if your next-door neighbor could summon a demon in their basement that would destroy the world, the governments of the world would have to be a lot more harsh on cracking down on that type of stuff. So in a Warhammer universe, where your neighbor can summon a demon, there's an ever-present threat of aliens, having an authoritarian government is a lot more of a needed reality. I'm not sure that our world would last longer than a day in the Warhammer universe. The philosophy of the Ultramarines in Warhammer 40k is rooted in a strict code of honor, discipline, and organization, which reflects their role as paragons of the Emperor's will. They are the epitome of the Adeptus Astartes, and are known for their adherence to structure, strategy, and doctrine. The Ultramarines hold the Codex Astartes in the highest regard. This comprehensive guide to warfare, tactics, and organization was written by their Primarch, Rabute Guilliman, and serves as the foundation of their entire philosophy and military doctrine. They believe that strict adherence to the Codex ensures victory, order, and the survival of the Imperium, as it provides a structured and reliable approach to battle and governance. It is important to note that they respect the Codex Astartes, but they don't view it as a holy book like some other chapters. The Ultramarines believe that discipline and order are vital to maintaining strength. This extends beyond the battlefield to how they run their chapters, worlds, and even their interactions with others. The Ultramarines place a high value on precise military tactics, chain of command, and the ability to work in harmony with others. Like all Space Marines, the Ultramarines are unwaveringly loyal to the Emperor of Mankind. They view their role as protectors of humanity and defenders of the Imperium from the forces of chaos, Xenos, and heretics. However, they take their duty even further by advocating for the preservation of the Imperium's stability, structure, and future. They do not worship the Emperor as a god, though. The Ultramarines believe that knowledge, both of the past and of the present, is key to ensuring the Imperium's survival. This is why they keep vast libraries and records on battle tactics, history, and even diplomacy. Their Primarch, Rabute Guilliman, is a scholar as much as a warrior, and this emphasis on learning and study influences their approach to both warfare and governance. Unlike some other chapters who see themselves purely as warriors, the Ultramarines believe in governance and statecraft. After the Great Crusade, they administrate entire sectors of space, exemplifying their belief in the importance of governance and the management of people and resources. Guilliman's role as the ruler of the region known as Ultramar is the epitome of this philosophy. The Ultramarines often see themselves as exemplars of moral righteousness within the grimdark universe of 40k. They are viewed by many as the ideal chapter of Space Marines because of the strict adherence to their code, their sense of honor, and their desire to do what is right, even in faced with the overwhelming corruption of the galaxy. In summary, the Ultramarines' philosophy revolves around a belief in order, structure, and rationality. They hold to the idea that following strict doctrine and maintaining discipline will lead to victory and the survival of humanity, and they apply this mindset both in battle and in governance. Their approach is pragmatic and focused on the long-term survival of the Imperium, making them one of the most respected and sometimes criticized of the Space Marine chapters. The Word-Bearers represent one of the most complex and tragic chapters in the lore, and their philosophy is deeply intertwined with the pursuit of faith, devotion, and religion. Initially, one of the Loyalist legions during the Great Crusade, the Word-Bearers became one of the traitor legions after their fall to chaos. Their philosophy evolved dramatically from their origins, and it is marked by a profound zealotry and fanaticism, particularly in their worship of the Chaos Gods. At their core, the Word-Bearers are defined by an unshakable faith in something greater than themselves. Initially, their belief centered on the Emperor, whom they saw not just as a ruler, but as a god. After the Emperor rejected their efforts to deify him, their disillusionment led them to embrace the Chaos Gods, finding solace and strength in their belief that true power lies in faith and devotion, no matter the object of worship. For the Word-Bearers, faith itself is a form of power, something that can shape reality, influence the fate of the galaxy, and transform individuals into agents of change. Their devotion to the Chaos Gods is not just about gaining power, it is about embracing a divine purpose and transcending the mundane limitations of mortal existence. The Word-Bearers are above all else zealots. Their fervor is unmatched by any other traitor legion, making them particularly dangerous and fanatical. They see themselves as the true missionaries, the Chaos Gods tasked with spreading the gospel of their deities across the galaxy, especially if it requires violence, manipulation, and corruption. This religious fervor drives them to convert others to their cause, using the methods of intimidation, persuasion, and subversion to turn the Imperium's citizens into devout worshippers of chaos. They see the galaxy as a battleground for souls, and their philosophy centers on the conversion of the galaxy, not just through warfare, but through the spreading of their twisted faith. A central theme of the Word-Bearers' philosophy is the betrayal of the Emperor. Originally, they were staunch believers in the Emperor's divinity, but when they attempted to worship the Emperor as a god, they were rejected and humiliated. This rejection ignited a rage within them, leading them to view the Emperor as a false god. If he was not truly a god, then who was? This led Lorgar and the Word-Bearers on a pilgrimage that ended with them finding the Chaos Gods. This event marks their descent into chaos, as they turn away from the Emperor and towards the Chaos Gods, seeing them as true divine forces of the universe. The Word-Bearers have since made it their mission to vindicate their beliefs, often through corrupting the Imperium from within, believing that the true Emperor or true glory of the Emperor was always destined to be overshadowed by the gods of chaos. The Word-Bearers are not content to simply wage war on the Imperium. They believe that their mission is to corrupt and dismantle the Emperor's legacy, which they view as a blasphemous lie. For them, their fall to chaos is not a tragedy, but a liberation. They believe that they are liberators of the human soul, and the destruction of the Imperium is an act of cleansing the galaxy of falsehoods. They aim to expose the Emperor's weakness and to show humanity that true divinity lies with the Chaos Gods. The Word-Bearers also embrace ritual sacrifice and ceremony as central parts of their existence. They perform vast, bloody rituals to honor the Chaos Gods, and these rites often include sacrificing the innocent, transforming whole population into worshippers of the Dark Gods. Through these rituals, they believe that they can harness greater power, commune with gods, and manipulate the warp. Their philosophy sees death and sacrifice as integral to spiritual evolution. To the Word-Bearers, every death and every suffering soul is a gift to their gods, a step towards the ultimate ascension of humanity to true godhood. One of the defining aspects of the Word-Bearers' philosophy is their belief in the potential of apotheosis, the idea that one can become a god through faith and service. They do not merely worship the Chaos Gods, they see themselves as on a path to godhood, seeking to elevate themselves and their followers through devotion, corruption, and conquest. For the Word-Bearers, embracing the power of chaos is a means of ascending to a higher plane of existence. They believe that in the service of the gods, they will be rewarded with godlike power and eternal life, transforming from mere mortals into beings of ultimate strength and influence. They wish to be transformed into demon princes. Much of the Word-Bearers' philosophy stems directly from their primarch Lorgar, who was deeply religious and intellectual. Lorgar was a visionary, someone who saw the potential of chaos before many others, and his teachings are central to their ideology. Lorgar's writings, often seen as heretical by the Imperium, are a sacred text to the Word-Bearers, guiding them in their worship and belief systems. Lorgar's philosophy of divine destiny and the need for spiritual guidance through worship informs their actions. Lorgar teaches that true strength comes not from martial prowess, but from the faith and devotion that shapes one's soul. The Word-Bearers are agents of corruption, not just in their own ranks, but across the galaxy. They believe that humanity is a flawed race that must embrace its true potential through the worship of chaos. As a result, they often manipulate and enslave entire populations, turning them into willing followers of chaos, or unwilling followers of chaos. The Word-Bearers view this as a form of salvation and see themselves as spiritual leaders guiding humanity through the falsehoods of the Imperium. We do know that the Emperor made a deal with the Chaos Gods on the planet of Moloch. We don't know exactly what the deal was, but we know he didn't live up to his half of it. Is chaos justified in their war against the Emperor when he steals power from them and breaks his promises? I don't know, but the Word-Bearers think so. The Black Templars represent one of the most zealous chapters of the Space Marines, and their philosophy is centered around religious fervor, the defense of humanity, and a never-ending war against the forces of chaos, Xenos, and heretics. Formed from the Imperial Fist Legion, the Black Templars are known for their fanaticism and commitment to the Emperor's cause, driven by an intense desire for purification, glory, and righteous vengeance. The Black Templars see themselves as crusaders on an eternal holy war, After the events of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy, they rejected the Codex Astartes doctrine of maintaining a more measured and organized chapter structure, opting instead to become a fleet-based chapter that would constantly be on crusade. Their philosophy revolves around the idea that humanity is under constant threat from both internal and external enemies, and thus the only solution is relentless warfare. They use a sort of loophole within the Codex Astartes, where if you're on a crusade, you can have more members in your chapter than is allowed, hence they are always on crusade. But at the same time, they kind of just reject the Codex Astartes outright, so... The Black Templars believe the Emperor of Mankind is a god, and they are fanatically devoted to his worship. Unlike many other chapters who revere the Emperor as a secular ruler, or view him as a symbol of mankind's potential, the Black Templars see the Emperor as the divine protector of humanity. They maintain that the Emperor is not dead, but rather entombed in the Golden Throne, continuing his watch over mankind. Their faith is so intense that the Black Templars do not just worship the Emperor, they consider themselves the Emperor's holy warriors, charged with cleansing the galaxy of all that threatens his divine will. They hold their Emperor's name sacred and act as self-appointed executioners of all those who desecrate it. The Black Templars view any threat to the Imperium as a blasphemous act against the Emperor and mankind. This includes heretics, mutants, chaos worshippers, and Xenos. They see themselves as the tools of divine retribution, and any such enemy is to be purged without mercy or hesitation. They have an almost fanatical hatred of heresy, viewing even the slightest deviation from the Imperial Creed as worthy of death. Martial prowess is the lifeblood of the Black Templars, and their philosophy places great emphasis on personal bravery, honor, and the challenge of hand-to-hand combat. Unlike other chapters, the Black Templars prefer close-quarters combat with chainswords, power swords, and bolters, reflecting their beliefs that a true warrior's mettle is tested in the thick of battle, not through distant artillery or tactical maneuvering. A key element of the Black Templars' philosophy is the concept of the Oath of Moment. Every Black Templar swears an oath upon joining the chapter, pledging their souls to the Emperor's cause and vowing to fight until death, in his name. These oaths are often highly personal and serve as a binding promise to uphold the chapter's ideals and to seek redemption through battle. This personal devotion means that each Black Templar sees themselves as on a holy mission, often carrying a personal crusade within their hearts. For example, some may seek the redemption of their families or worlds, while others may be focused on avenging fallen comrades or wiping out a specific enemy. This sense of personal vendetta adds to the chapter's fanatical energy and commitment. The Black Templars' rejection of the Codex Astartes is central to their philosophy. The Codex dictates that Space Marine chapter should be limited to 1,000 warriors and split into smaller specialized units. The Black Templars, however, refuse to follow this regulation, believing that their war on heresy requires them to operate as a much larger force, constantly on crusade with no fixed base of operations. They have instead embraced a more fluid and independent organization with individual battle groups known as crusades. Often operating in a decentralized manner, this loose structure is meant to reflect their belief that a true Crusader chapter cannot be limited to bureaucracy or numbers. They believe that war and faith must take precedence over the rigid constraints of doctrine. The Black Templars' philosophy is also deeply influenced by their religious rituals and symbols. Their iconography is strongly connected to the concept of knighthood and purification. They often wear the symbol of the cross, reflecting their belief that the Emperor is a divine protector. Many of their rituals include prayers to the Emperor, the chanting of holy oaths, and acts of personal atonement. This religious fervor is not just ceremonial, but central to their daily lives as warriors of the faith. The Black Templars' chaplaincy plays an important role in maintaining the devotional aspect of their philosophy. Chaplains are not only spiritual leaders, but also the ones who guide and inspire the chapter's warriors, ensuring that they remain true to their oaths and their unshakable faith. The Black Templars are guided by the spirit of the Crusader, warriors whose mission is to expand the Emperor's domain and wage eternal war in his name. This Crusader spirit is about purity, conviction, and sacrifice. The Black Templars see themselves as the Emperor's champions, engaged in an endless struggle to protect humanity and eliminate the forces of darkness from the galaxy. Their crusades are marked by a sense of urgency and a resolve, whether they are fighting in a galaxy-spanning campaign or a single isolated battle. The Black Templars act with the conviction that they are part of a divine mission, a holy and eternal crusade that will only end when the Emperor's enemies are eradicated. The philosophy of the Black Templars is one of unwavering faith, martial honor, and eternal war. They are driven by a zealous devotion to the Emperor, viewing themselves as his holy knights in an endless crusade to purify the galaxy and defend humanity. Their rejection of the Codex Astartes, focus on close combat, and commitment to never-ending crusades make them one of the most fanatical and determined chapters in the Imperium. Constantly waging war with the fervor of religious zealots, the Black Templars are defined by their beliefs that the Emperor's divine will must be enforced at all costs, and that humanity's survival is worth any sacrifice. Now, looking back at some of these philosophies where they overlap, you may be wondering why the word bearers were punished for worshipping the Emperor, but meanwhile the imperial citizens and the Black Templars are pushed to worship the God Emperor, and that reason is because of the different time period. So the word bearers were punished during the Great Crusade, before the Horus Heresy. When the Emperor was conducting the Great Crusade, he did not want people to worship him as a god. He wanted to create a secular imperium, but through the Horus Heresy, they needed to fight chaos, and especially on the Siege of Terra, one of the ways they fought chaos was through faith. So, Malcador and some of the different leadership decided to use the imperial cult to fight chaos, and then so doing, once the Emperor was entombed within the Golden Throne, the imperial cult kind of just went out of control, and they continued to use faith as a way to control the people. As well, the Black Templars were created by Sigismund, who was an imperial fist who had some disagreements with his Primarch Rogel Dorn about worshiping the chaos or the Emperor as a god, and he just gathered the most religiously fervor of the imperial fists and left and created the Black Templars. And now they're so useful that the Imperium doesn't want to do anything to them. Even though they may be breaking the rules, they're just so useful out there fighting chaos and the enemies of humanity that they let them do their own thing. Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I'm kind of new to this whole YouTube thing, so if you have any advice, please drop it down in the comments. As well, if you want me to cover a different philosophy within the Warhammer universe, please drop that in the comments as well. I'd love to do that.